sei nem como falar isso.
If you weren't in this circle, how many of you guys would actually recognize the name Vitoria Guarizo? So if the name doesn't sound familiar, don't worry about it. It didn't sound familiar to me as well. But I can tell you for sure that this story is actually pretty interesting. So listen to this. Brazilian trans influencer Vitoria Guarizo, with over 1.1 million, and I added the 0.1 followers, and her model boyfriend arrested after they drugged, tortured, and robbed a man she met on a dating app. You see, the thing is, when you read a story like this, there's some immediate questions that should come to mind. And don't you worry, we're going to pose those exact same questions because this story, although nothing has been proven just yet, is still wild. So for the most part, although nothing's been proven just yet, here's how this story goes. So on Tuesday, July 25th, 25-year-old Vitoria Guarizo was taken into custody because he was being accused of allegedly torturing and robbing a businessman that was met on a transvestite dating app. Vitoria and partner Gabriel Menezes allegedly stole more than $8,669 from this victim, who was lured to her Sao Paulo apartment back on May 18th. The way that this setup actually took place, and it is a setup if this is true. Right now, as I stated, it's still allegation. This businessman was told that Vitoria had just came back from Dubai because the statement said that Vitoria was being abused physically. And so therefore she was feeling sad. The victim, who in the article they only describe as a businessman, they haven't really released this guy's name as of yet, he went to visit Vitoria in Sao Paulo, and while visiting was jumped by two different men, one of whom was Vitoria's boyfriend, Gabriel Menezes. So he walked into Vitoria's room expecting one thing and walked into an ambush. So allegedly he was drugged, tortured with hot knives and a blowtorch. He was hit multiple times in the head. And then he was continuously being instructed to hand over his passwords to his bank accounts. Allegedly, they transferred $105 to Guarizo's account, $4,000 into Menezes, or to be specific, $4,017, and then the third individual, because remember I did say that there were two individuals behind the doors waiting on this guy, the third of which they haven't really caught yet. He received a payment of $4,439 wired into his account. So take a listen to this. Eventually, from all of what's going on with this guy, he falls unconscious because of all of what's going on, and then when he wakes back up, he's in his car. They placed him back inside of his vehicle. So far, drugs have been seized, computers, cell phones, and various medications. They even took a Jaguar, not the animal, just the car. So far, Vitoria's press office obviously issued a statement stating innocence, and that the time spent locked up behind bars is only going to be temporary. I believe it's about 15 days, and in that time Vitoria seems to be complying with the investigation held by the police, clarifying all facts, and the lawyers are holding steadfast that Vitoria is innocent, and that at the end of the day, all facts will eventually come to light to prove Vitoria's innocence. And of course, lastly, there has been a schedule that was set, in which case Vitoria is going to appear before a judge to kind of get this whole process going. So with all that stated, 1.1 million followers on IG, a boyfriend who's a model, and maybe it's not clear, but there's obviously at the very least a depiction that there's some money following Vitoria somewhere. I don't necessarily know what houses go for in Brazil, but if you take a look at some of the pictures, this does not seem that Vitoria is in any kind of lack. All the way from the way the bathroom is modeled on Vitoria's IG page, expensive purses, expensive name brand clothing, flying on private jets, your name being spoken of in children's books and magazines, photo shoots of you just living at your place, and even an obstacle course on your wall for your cat to just bounce around. Everything that I see at least says that there is no clear feeling of lack when it comes to finance. So I really don't think I'd be stretching the statement if I were to say that Vitoria is doing pretty well. And what? If not rich, then what? Instagram rich at the very least? Where you look rich but you might not necessarily be rich? Because if there's something that I cannot understand, is if this is your life, if everything that I see on your IG, if this is really your life, let's say you attain the attention of a businessman on the hope that you'd be robbing someone for millions of dollars. And then your plan was to do what? Escape to Canada after? Let's say you tortured this person. You got the bank accounts. You opened the bank account. And then you see $8,000+. And that's it. That person has less than you make in what? A day? a week, a month, in their entire bank account? Would that not cause you to pause for a moment? And although you might not be that far ahead, it should at least cause you to stop while you're still at least partially ahead before you take this too far. That's what I would think anyway. If this is your life, why risk it for the sake of $8,000? That's why I said the story doesn't really make sense. Because I know it is easy enough to clarify that there's rich and then there's Instagram rich, where that purse is rented. Those expensive purses in the background, they're all rented. That house where you're doing the photo shoot might not actually be yours. That picture of you flying in the private jet, that could just be another photo shoot. And the picture of you in the air, that could be green screen. Now, I'm not saying it is, I'm just saying it could be. But it also could very likely be that Vitoria is actually loaded, and all these accusations just are completely false. We'll have to just wait and see. In the meantime, where do you guys line up? Have you heard of this story yet? Do you think this is true? Do you think it's false? Does this make absolutely no sense to you like it does me, that an influencer with this much influence and followers would actually risk this? Because to me, that just seems crazy to put your whole career on the line for this. To do what? Rob some person for $8,000? But then again, people have done crazier things. So whatever your thoughts are, leave them in the comment section, and I will get at you for the next one. Be easy, y'all.